Good chilly morning. My name is Susie DeLacy. My pronouns are she and her. And on behalf of this congregation, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Huntsville. We acknowledge that we are on traditional territory of native tribes. Whether you've joined us online or you're here in our sanctuary, we are glad to have you here with us in this sacred time that we choose to be together. We are an open community of learning, caring, and justice making. You're welcome here, every part of you, just the way you are. Our congregation is served by our minister, the fantastic Reverend Jaimie Dingus. She's available by contacting the office for pastoral care and to answer questions about Unitarian Universalism. If you are a newcomer, please sign our guest book in the foyer to receive our weekly email newsletter. Take a moment right now to silence your electronic devices. If you have a joy, a sorrow, or an important milestone that you would like shared during our Circle of Candles and included in the pastoral prayer, please write it on one of the white cards in the pew pocket in front of you and place it in the offering basket when it comes your way. For community news, check our email newsletter, our Facebook page, and our website. This week, we have these additional announcements. We are approaching a change in the way we share announcements at UUCH. The vast majority of announcements are now moving out of the pulpit and into your bulletin. In December, you'll be able to access the announcements either spoken from the pulpit or through the QR code in your order of service. In January, there will be a printed announcement insert in the bulletin, and only select announcements will be spoken from the pulpit. The 9th Annual Alabama Hispanic Association Dinner and Christmas Party is scheduled for next Saturday, December 16th. This is an all-church event, and we need your help to make it a success. You can get involved in 3 ways. Number 1, make a financial donation for teen gifts online for the noted for the Alabama Hispanic Association Christmas gifts in the 4 line. Donate a stuffed animal for the children. We're collecting stuffed animals to be given out to the children at the party. You can bring new or like new stuffed animals to church and put them in the boxes in the foyer or in the fellowship hall. Third, donate food and or your time. We need help with food for the dinner, the setup, the cleanup, decorating, and actually working the dinner. Sign-up sheets are in the fellowship hall, and a sign-up genius will be posted for the event. Contact Gail Williams or Brad Korb if you have any questions. Today, you can join Gary Hitt in the adult RE room after service for a discussion on current events. And next week after church, the executive director of CAJA, or CAHA, as we say at our house, it stands for Court Appointed Juvenile Advocates of Madison County, will be here to discuss the CAHA program and how we can support children experiencing abuse or neglect in our community. Now I would like to invite Benjamin DeLacy to ring the singing bowl and help us enter more deeply into the service. Finally, having gathered in a shared quest for truth, meaning, and purpose, let us light our chalice with these words by Morgan Harper Nichols. Are you worth the quiet moment? Are you worth a deeper breath? Are you worth the time it takes to slow down, to be still, and rest? And now let us enter into this morning's service more deeply with our music for centering, followed by a thread song.
Welcome in. My name is Reverend Jaimie Dingus. My pronouns are she and her, and I serve you as the minister here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Huntsville. Welcome. It is a beautiful day to be together, to find connection and inspiration in this gathering. Our centering words this morning are from Cindy Terlazzo. Amidst the swirl of life's challenges, fears, and even moments of crisis, I make time to gaze at the night sky, to see the vastness there, and to remember that this moment in time is but a flicker, not an inconsequential flicker, for what I do and think now does matter. My work, though, is to let the debris of the world pass by, while I anchor myself to what I know is true. Love, kindness, compassion, and caring for this precious life, this precious planet, and all that calls this place home. This is my North Star. With love as my guide, how can I possibly go wrong? Together, joined in worship with compassion and love as our guides, we cannot go wrong. And now, as the earth turns once again to winter, to holiday celebrations, we enter into the season of lights. This morning, we light the second candle on our Advent wreath, the candle of peace. Today, we are centering on how we can find peace for ourselves, tending to our own hearts. And this light of peace is a reminder that peace must be shared, built, given, reclaimed. Peace is the dream of safety, security, and the ability to thrive held by all people. May we wrap ourselves in peace this season as we light the second flame on our Advent wreath. And tonight, Jews around the world light the fourth candle of Hanukkah. We remember the message of Hanukkah with the lights that lasted much longer than they should have, bringing comfort and peace to those waiting in the temple. May we find that kind of comfort in these lights of the season. And now we are going to sing. Our opening hymn is number 22 in your gray hymnal. It's called Dear Weaver of Our Lives' Design. This hymn uses metaphor to talk about the threads of strength and connection that help us move through the long, winding journey of life. Please rise in body or rise in spirit to sing number 22. Each week following our first hymn, we remain risen in body and spirit, and we sing our doxology, and then we speak in unison our words of aspiration. It's become our custom to turn in towards the center aisle, towards each other, during those words of aspiration, to speak those words as a promise to one another. Let's sing our doxology and then share those words. From be the spirit of this church. May the quest for truth be its sacrament and service be its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration. You may be seated. And now I'd like to invite forward our children and youth and anyone feeling young at heart and ready for a story to enjoy our Story for All Ages offered by Kristen Warrington.
A story on the iPad, and it is called Leave Me Alone by Vera Brosgall.
I never leave my mom alone.
Oh, Saoirse, I believe you on that one. Once there was an old woman. She lived in a small village in a small house with a very big family. Look at all those people in there.
Wow, that's too many.
Winter was coming, and that meant she had some very important knitting to do, but it wasn't getting done. Her grandchildren were very curious about her knitting. Were you supposed to hit the ball with a stick? Could you eat it? What about could you make your brother eat it? Why did the ball get smaller as you chased it? The old woman was at the end of her rope. So she made her bed as neatly as she could. She swept the floorboards until they were more or less shown, and she drank tea from her samovar. She packed up her things in a big sack, and she left, and she shouted back, "Leave me alone." The old woman walked through the deep, dark forest. She made a fire so that she could see what she was doing. And then she finally got to sit down and begin to knit. But the bear family was very curious about the light from her fire and about what she might taste like. "Leave me alone," the old woman shouted. But they didn't listen because bears don't speak human. So she picked up her sack and left. The old woman climbed up the mountainside. It was cold, so she found a small sheltered place. Then she sat down and began to knit. The mountain goats were excited to have a visitor, especially one who brought snacks. "Leave me alone," the old woman shouted. But the goats were too busy fighting, and the red ones, they were too busy fighting over the red ones, which they all agreed tasted best. So she picked up her sack and she left. The old woman climbed higher and higher on the mountain. reached the top, and she climbed up onto the moon. She found a rock that was shaped like a chair. She sat down and began to knit. And the little green moon men had never seen a woman, old or otherwise. They examined her with handheld scanners and went, beep, boop, beep. Leave me alone! The old woman shouted, but the little green moon men couldn't hear her because they didn't have any ears. So she picked up her sack and she left through a wormhole. The void on the other side of the wormhole was very dark and very, very quiet. She was absolutely, completely, utterly alone. It was perfect. Soon, she had no more yarn, and also she had 30 little sweaters, and she was alone. So, she put the 30 sweaters into her big sack. She swept the void until it was a nice, very matte black. She had a cup of tea from her samovar. Then she picked up her sack and she left through another wormhole. When she came out of the other side, everything was right where she left it. And she didn't say a word. The end. So, very different story, huh? I liked it. I picked it because it was not funny. It was a little funny. It was maybe a little funny. I picked it because, you know what? I love the holidays like everyone else amongst us, but also like they're tough sometimes. Does anybody have a hard time with a... Yeah, me too. I have a hard time just on a regular day. So, this is just, a quick little reminder that sometimes we just have to take care of ourselves, right? And sometimes it looks different for everyone. Sometimes we need alone time. Sometimes things are just too loud and too exciting and we just need to, breathe, right? And sometimes we don't know how to take care of ourselves. We don't know what we need, but we can always ask an adult, right? And they will help us to feel better if we let them know we're having a tough time. So just remember that it's a tough season out there sometimes. So now we're going to sing our children off to class. Thank you.
I trust that I'm not the only parent that has an affinity for the old woman in that story. UUCH's mission is that our ministries will foster lifelong spiritual seeking and growth, strengthen our community, support social justice action, welcome diversity, and let people know that we're here. If you'd like to support us with a monetary contribution, we would be grateful, and your generosity helps us to keep the lights and the heat on, maintain our building and grounds, run our various ministries, pay our staff a fair wage, and support organizations that share our UU values. You can donate online using the QR code on your order of service, or you can put cash or check donations in the offering basket. Completed Circle of Candles cards can be placed in the offering baskets at this time. You're invited to come forward and quietly drop a stone into the bowl of water here next to the ramp in honor or in memory of anything you hold in your heart. It's through your generosity that we serve our mission here at UUCH, and with gratitude, we now receive the offering.
Friends, will you join me now for a time of meditation, reflection, and prayer? Loving Spirit, source of compassion and connection, join us as we enter into this time where we share what is in our hearts and hold that together in community. This morning we offer prayers of healing and rebuilding for all those impacted by tornadoes in Tennessee and Birmingham yesterday. We share continued prayers for all those experiencing violence and oppression across the world. On this Sunday of peace, we pray for peace to come to all people everywhere. Our friend Catherine Heath lifts up in sorrow that her wonderful friend Jane Kilbride passed away last week. She was a lovely dancer and teacher full of compassion, courage, love, and wisdom. For Jane and for Catherine, we hold you in our hearts. Our friend Brian Verschow shared that his transfer to morning shift work came through last month, and he is so grateful and thankful to wake with the sun and see their family longer each day. Yay for you, Brian. We are so grateful and joyful for you. We lift up our friend Angela Arnold. Great news. She finally started treatment for her multiple sclerosis and feels almost human again. Hooray. Hooray, yeah. Angela was also approved for both Social Security and NASA disability, so it's been a great week, and for the first time in nearly a year, she's feeling hopeful. We share your hope and joy this morning, Angela, and also your joy for our friend George, who's recovering well from heart surgery. We're happy to see you both this morning. And our final joy from Bridget DeMoore. Bridget's father turned 87 years old on December 2nd. All of us gathered in Georgia to celebrate, plus his Alabama team won. Congratulations, yay for you. We share your joys this morning. We hold your sorrows this morning. We are grateful for the container that is this loving community that can hold all that we cannot hold on our own. Let us be moved to compassion for all that remains silent in our hearts. Let's take a breath together. And say, blessed be and amen. Blessed be. And now we'll sing our responsive music. It's number 1009 in the Teal hymnal, Meditation on Breathing. And now we will have our special music, a UUCH tradition for many, many years, Christmas in the Trenches, offered by some fabulous UUCH musicians, John Chahersky, Sarah Coble, Malcolm Goodman, Tim Miller, Howard Williams. Thank you.
Rev. Jaimie's right. This has been a tradition for a while. John McCutcheon wrote this some almost 40 years ago. I think our congregation picked it up 4 or 5 years later. And it spoke to us enough, it stayed. The author, John McCutcheon, tells the story also within a few years of writing it. He had a very interesting event. He was at a little folk festival in Turandot, Denmark, and he noticed one night there was this group of elderly, very old German men who would come across the border, show up a little late for the show. There wouldn't be a place to sit, so they would kind of stand on the sides, on the aisles. They would be expressionless. And when the show was over, they'd just turn around and walk out. And then it would happen again, the next show, and the next show. And so he's just wondering, who are these guys? And his curiosity got the best of him one night, so he hops off the stage at the end of his last song, runs down the aisle, and catches the last of the old men as they're, just before they go out the door. And he said, you know, you guys have been so sweet coming to all these shows. What's the deal? And the old man said, well, we're here because of that song. He said, which song? Well, you know, the one they've been playing on the radio. He said, that's how we found out about you, about the festival, about these shows. And then the old man said, you know, all our lives, our families, our friends told us we were crazy. They said it could not have happened the way we said. Now we hear your song on the radio, and we tell them, see, because we were there. These elderly men in the mid to late 1980s had been there, what is now 109 years ago, for the Christmas truce. And we honor that today. My name is Francis Tolliver. I come from Liverpool. 2 years ago, the war was waiting for me after school. To Belgium and to Flanders, to Germany, to here, I fought for king and country I love dear. 'Twas Christmas in the trenches where the frost so bitter hung. The frozen fields of France were still, no Christmas song was sung. Our families back in England were toasting us that day. They're brave and glorious lads so far away. I was lying with my messmate on the cold and rocky ground when across the lines of battle came a most peculiar sound. Says I, now listen up, me boys, each soldier strained to hear, as one young German voice sang out so clear. He's singing bloody well, you know, my partner says to me. Soon one by one each German voice joined in harmony. The cannons rested silent, the gas cloud rolled no more, as Christmas brought us respite from the war. As soon as they were finished and a reverent pause was spent, God rest ye merry gentlemen, struck up some lads from Kent. The next they sang was Stille Nacht, 'tis silent night, says I, and in two tongues one song filled up that sky. There's someone coming towards us, the frontline sentry cried. All sights were fixed on one lone figure trudging from their side. His truce flag like a Christmas star shone on that plain so bright as he bravely strode unarmed into the night. Then one by one on either side walked into no man's land. With neither gun nor bayonet, we met there hand to hand. We shared some secret brandy, we wished each other well, and in a flare-lit soccer game we gave 'em hell. We traded chocolates, cigarettes, photographs from home. These sons and fathers far away from families of their own. Young Sanders played his squeeze box, and they had a violin. This curious and unlikely band of men. Soon daylight stole upon us, and France was France once more. With sad farewells we each began to settle back to war. But the question haunted every heart that beat that wondrous night. Whose family have I fixed within my sights? 'Twas Christmas in the trenches, where the frost so bitter hung. The frozen fields of France were warmed as songs of peace were sung. For the walls they'd kept between us to exact the work of war had been crumbled and were gone forevermore. Oh, my name is Francis Tolliver. In Liverpool I dwell. Each Christmas comes since World War I. I've learned its lessons well. That the ones who call the shots won't be among the dead and lame. And on each end of the rifle, we're the same.
Thank you so much for the gift of this tradition we celebrate each year, and for that message of peace in a time where our world could use so much more of it. Thank you. The reading I have for you this morning is called Too Much of Everything by Reverend Misha Sanders. There they were, 10 preschoolers in suits and fancy dresses, each holding one letter of Merry Christmas. I know that they must have started out the morning with at least 14 kids, because I suspect their choir director would not knowingly drag them onto the chancel to spell out Eri Chimsa. I'd gone to church that morning specifically to see Mel, my friend's daughter. She'd campaigned for and won the coveted role of the letter M for Mel, the one that starts out the whole production, and she was ecstatic about her stage debut. And yet, Eri Chimsa, the letters proclaimed. And if you were to look carefully, you would see that Mel and her M were not exactly missing. She was up there at her rehearsed mark, far on stage left, lying prostrate on the floor, gold tulle dress flipped upside down over her face, both fists flung out ahead, the carefully glittered, crumpled M unceremoniously smooshed into the carpet under her body. Later, she clearly explained, "It was a little bit too much of everything. I just needed it to stop for a minute. Next time I'll take calm breaths. And I wondered if Mel had just solved the holidays once and for all. There is so much anticipatory joy and more than a little gumption in having the grandiosity to show up for the party in a gold tulle dress in the first place. And such self-possessed wisdom in lying down and pulling it over your face when everything is too much. And it is too much, isn't it? Sometimes the final days of the unexpected pregnancy find you in a strange place where they tell you there's no room at the inn. And in real life, sometimes grief looms largest in December. Sometimes there's one too many dress-ups and the gold tulle makes your legs itch. I just needed it to stop for a minute. Next time, I'll take calm breaths. I just needed it to stop for a minute. Could anything be more relatable this time of year? While joyful, the holidays can be painful too. We are asked to make mystery and magic at every turn. We bounce between parties and activities, and we shop, and we eat all the wonderfully indulgent treats, and we see our favorite people, and we see the people who trigger and challenge us the most, and so often those are the same people, and it is too much. And then in the midst of all this larger cultural too much, we have our own stories and our own challenges existing just under the surface. The holidays after the death of a loved one are forever changed. The holidays when the young adult children choose something different and don't come home are forever changed. The holidays when the relationship ended, or the pregnancy ended, or whatever it is you are grieving ended, are forever changed. And sometimes, friends, it is too much, and we just need it all to stop for a moment. And in the midst of that too muchness, we are encouraged instead to do more, to ignore the pain, to cover it up with lights and tinsel and another holiday parade, concert, play, event, and it can become even more too much. This season, I'm giving you permission to let it all stop for a moment. Ideally, we try not to stop for a moment like Mel did right in the middle of our part in the play, but maybe we do. Or maybe you pick a day this month, or an evening this week, or an hour today to stop. And in that pause, I encourage you to shake off the need to be anything other than who and how you actually are. If you're grieving, take this time to sit in it, to put on the sad song or the old movie, to look at the photographs, to weep. If you're missing someone far away, make the call, write the letter, say the prayer for them. If you are overcommitted to parties and celebrations, pull out the sweatpants and the favorite mug, text the excuse, and stay home. If you're struggling with overwhelm and burnout and anxiety, maybe it's time to pull out the calm breaths, or the meditation app, or the therapist's business card that's been sitting on the counter for weeks now. Stop and let yourself be. Friends, you each deserve to make space for your authentic self. Not only that, our faith requires you to make space for your authentic self. When we speak of our first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, we so often apply that out into our world. Our special music this morning beautifully told the story of the Christmas truce, the ceasefire, the night where the inherent worth and dignity of the other was found in a simple song, sung in many languages, but felt deeply in the heart. We see people in war zones experiencing violence and destruction, and we mourn because we recognize their inherent worth and dignity, and hate the way that that dignity is not being honored. Yes to that. And yes, also to the inherent worth and dignity of you today in whatever you are carrying. You deserve care and compassion. Your pain, your grief, your anxiety, your anger, it matters. And in this community, we can hold that. Friends, look up at the night sky and breathe. Remember that love, compassion, kindness, and caring are our center. Take calm breaths when you can, and forgive yourself when you just can't, and you have to do that next time. And stop. Take a step back. Take a day, an evening, an hour. Let yourself be honest, with tears, with howls at the moon, with poetry and art. Carve out of the world space for your pain to be authentic. So often we are trying to figure out the way to get away from pain, to bury it, to hide it amongst the ornaments on the tree or underneath the wrapping paper. But this does not serve us. And it certainly doesn't equip us to share our love and care outward into a hurting world. So this season, I implore you to take the pauses and to make real space for your human needs. When you do this, you honor your own dignity, and you give those around you permission to honor their own dignity. Why don't we practice together? Let's take, so we're saying a day a month, an evening a week, an hour a day. So let's do a minute a service. We'll take a minute right here to breathe, to look around, to be honest in this moment. Let's share some silence together. However this season finds you, whether it finds you bubbling with joy, beside yourself with grief, or pulling the gold tool over your head to get it all to stop for a moment. You deserve love. You deserve care and compassion. Be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with one another. And may we find moments of love and authenticity all throughout this joyful season. Blessed be, and amen. We end this morning with our closing song. It's number 18 in your gray hymnal. What wondrous love is this? This song proclaims the love that heals and holds us through the ups and downs of life. Please rise in body or in spirit to sing number 18 together.
Let us now take a moment to extinguish our chalice with these words. You are worth the quiet moment. You are worth the deeper breath. You are worth the time it takes to slow down, to be still, and to rest.
Our worship service now comes to a close. I will be at the back of the sanctuary to greet you, and you're invited to stick around after the service for coffee and conversation. For those on our live stream this morning, we are so grateful that you tune in and join us for worship. Thank you for being here today. We are waving you off. If in our coffee hour this morning you are wanting to make a new friend, make a connection, and don't know how to start that conversation, perhaps you might ask someone what's something that they're doing this holiday season to take better care of themselves. And now we'll leave this sacred time with these parting words. You are enough. In your joy, in your pain, in your confusion, you are enough. When everything else is too much, be gentle with yourself. Breathe if you can, and know a new day is coming. Blessed be, amen, and let's go out singing our rite of community, Be Thou With Us. Be thou with us now and always, now and always. Blessed be. Blessed be, amen, and go in peace.